to share with you my journey and testimony with my thyroid and having a goiter. So in 2017, I can remember it so well. I was sitting on my mother's couch, and we were just busy talking, and all of a sudden she says, "What lump is there in your throat?" And I'm like, "What?" And I felt, and I thought, "Oh yeah, there is a lump." And she's like, "Yeah, she can see it clearly. There's a lump in my throat." And then all of a sudden we were like both just worried, and I was worried. I was like stressed. Is this cancer? What is this now? So at that time I did not have medical aid, and I think I left it, I'm not sure. And then when I went to the sister who gives me my prescription, my monthly prescription, she also realized that there's a lump in my throat. So this was in 2017. Oh no, sorry, before that, I can remember, yes, no, sorry. So before that, when my mom and I realized this lump, we booked, I made an appointment at a private doctor about this. And then she, because I did not have medical aid, she referred me to Tygerberg with a letter for tests. That was my first time going to Tygerberg in 2017. My mom, she accompanied me, and we went to Tygerberg for blood tests and no, not blood tests, sorry. They had to take a piece of the fluid, yeah, to test if it's cancer or not. And I can remember we went early and we walked around and we got lost and we didn't know where we were. Finally we got at the right floor, at the right door with the right person, and that day they put a needle into that lump, and I can remember it was so sore. It really hurt, and I walked out and I did not feel well because this thing was so sore and it really hurt, and they took out the fluid, and then I had to wait. Then they got the results back, and then they said it's not, I think they think it was a cyst that was there. And then I left it, and then I went to the sister that I normally get my prescription from, and then she also saw this lump in my neck, and she saw that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I told her that I went to the previous doctor, and it's not, it does not look like cancer, it just looks like a cyst. And then she said, but she's gonna try to get me into Tygerberg at the thyroid specialist. So then the sister really, she did a lot of work, and she got me in there to go see the specialist at the thyroid department with the neck and nose and throat. And then I can remember I went the first time. I can't remember who accompanied me, but also again I got lost because that Tygerberg hospital is so big. You can take the lift anywhere and you can get to floor 5, but then floor 5 is in different directions, east, west side, and you just don't know where you are. So every time I just got lost. Eventually I got there and they checked it, and then they told me it's not a cyst, it's a goiter. But then they were quite concerned about it because of the size of the lump. And then I went on that day, I had to go for a sonar, I had to go for again to take the fluid out and blood tests. And then they made a decision, it is a goiter. Every year I had to go back to check on the goiter. First of all, that it's not cancerous, that it's not growing big, that there's nothing else there. So the time went by, I think 5 years by then, I'm not sure, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20, 21, 20, yeah, 5 years went by. Every year I would go back to Tygerberg, I would see the specialist. The thing looks exactly the same. At the point it went smaller, and so there was no need. I had no symptoms, I had no problems, it was not irritating me, there was nothing. So for 5 years I went on living with this lump, but it did not, I actually forgot about it, you know, because it wasn't an issue for me. Yes, a lot of people would see the lump, but I couldn't even see the lump. I just went on with my life. So in this 5 years, obviously we got COVID, and then I've always had allergies, I've always had hay fever, I've always had this problem. So then we got COVID, and just before COVID we moved to the area Kraaifontein, and when we moved there I really started to struggle to breathe. And I thought it's maybe the area, because that area is a bit more wet than in the air than the other areas of the northern suburbs. And before that we stayed in Uitzicht. Then I also had the same problem, so I thought it was the area that was just not good for my lungs. So I really started to struggle to breathe. And then COVID happened, and then I got COVID. And then after that, it just worsened. And then they said, you know, I must take it slow for 6 months after COVID, which I did. And then I started to exercise again. And it was such a struggle. I just couldn't get breathing normally again. I couldn't get fit anymore. And at that point, we stayed in a flat with stairs, and it just got more difficult. So in 2022, it just started to get, you know, more difficult to breathe. And then I thought, oh, it became asthma. I started to use an asthma pump, and then people were praying also for me, and then I would go for stronger allergy medicine, and then I would do get some oils, and I would start to exercise. Just everything that's around asthma and allergies I tried to do from 2022 to see if it's not going to help for my lungs. Eventually I adapted my life in a certain way that I stopped exercising. I couldn't do that much anymore. The way I was eating, I made sure less dairy, more, you know, stuff that peppermint and stuff that can just open the lungs. And it got at a point where I was focused on it, where I knew, take it slowly, oh, this you can do, this you can't do. And then eventually in 2023 as well, even in my speaking, I couldn't, as I speak or as I pray, or even if I sang, there was no breath, and it got worse. Eventually it got so bad in 2023 that everyone, when they hear me speak or laugh or pray, they would say, your chest is closed. Eventually it got so bad that I couldn't even walk in malls, in the shopping mall anymore. If we go anywhere, I have to take it really slow. December 2022, we went to Clifton, and I love the sea, I love the beach, and I just couldn't swim in that cold water because the water is already cold, so it takes your breath away. And in that December, I can remember the one day on the beach, I was in the water, and the water took my breath away, and then it didn't come back, and I struggled to get out because no one was there. So the struggle to get out of the water, back to my seat, my breath was almost gone. I immediately took the asthma pump, and I was just looking at my husband, focusing in his eyes, all stressed and everything, just focusing on, I must breathe, I must breathe. And you know, by Clifton, it's all those stairs up and down. I would walk a few stairs, then I would just have to rest, and then walk another few stairs and I have to rest until I would get up top. Then I had to take my asthma pump. So it was a struggle, and eventually the asthma pump or whatever did not work anymore. So a good friend of mine suggested that I need to go see a specialist, a lung specialist, because it's just getting worse, it's not getting better. So my symptoms got worse, and I couldn't breathe anymore, but this lump stayed same. It looked the same size in my throat. It did not grow outwardly, and it did not go, you couldn't see it here growing, but the symptoms got worse. Also in 2023, I started to choke more. I started when I was sleeping, I would choke and then wake up, and then I have to catch my breath, and I had to drink water just to get breath. I know in 2023 as well, in September, we were at a conference, and that night we were in Gauteng, and the area of, obviously the air is more dry than Cape Town with the humid and the sea. And I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I just choked, and I woke up, and I had to get breath, and my husband woke up, and he just opened the windows, and I started drinking bottles and bottles of water. I think almost 750 ml to a liter I had to drink, because I was like dried out. So a lot of times that I almost did not make it. A lot of times that it was almost close to going to emergency room. And I just couldn't understand this, and the whole time I was thinking it's asthma. I forgot about the goiter. And because this thing was not grown outwardly, for me it was not the goiter, because it's the same. And so for me it was more asthma. And eventually she said, let's go to a lung specialist. So we went to that road and she blessed me with that. And I can remember the day I had to take the lung function. So before that I saw the specialist, and then he spoke to me, took my history and everything, and he gave me a asthma pump, and quite an expensive one, a more severe one. And then I used that for I think 2 days, and then all of a sudden I felt bad. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Something's wrong. My body goes into shock and I feel tired, and if I want to go sleep and stuff. And I said, now I'm going to leave this. And then as soon as I leave the asthma pumps, then I feel better, then I come right. So I couldn't understand why it's not helping me to breathe, all these asthma medication. And if I leave it, then I feel better, then I can cope, you know. So then they said, okay, now we need to take a lung function test. And I can remember that day I was sitting there and I did the test, and it was so stressful for me and really hard and difficult, because you have to breathe in and then you have to breathe out. And I can remember as I have to breathe out, it's only a few seconds, then my breath stops completely. But then I must continue to breathe out. And it feels like I'm going to faint because everything is just gone. I can't. And I had to do this a few times, and at a point I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just going to stop because I can't make it. And then he also gave me some asthma pump just to get some breath. And then eventually he called the specialist and he said, something's wrong here. The lungs are 100% functionability, but there's a blockage here. And immediately I got a fright. I thought it's cancer. And then I don't have medical aid. So then they said, so I said to them, can you refer me to Tygerberg? Can you refer me to the specialist that has walked now 5 years with me with the thyroid? And when I mentioned that, the other doctor said, oh, that could be the problem. So they referred me to Tygerberg again, to my specialist at Tygerberg, Dr. Corradi, the best I've ever had. She's wonderful. Thumbs up for her. And they said to them, it's an emergency. So I went in the next week, got there, and then they were all, another doctor saw me, and then they all got a fright, because then this thing has grown inside. And like I said, it did not grow outwardly, it grew inwardly. So you couldn't see from the outside. And then they said that is definitely the problem, and they heard my breathing and they were all panicked. So they said this is an emergency, and then the only option for me was to get an operation, a procedure done. But first of all, they had to see if it's cancer. So, oh my goodness, I went for tests, I tell you, from, when was that? I think that was in June or July. I went through so many tests, many blood tests, sonars, taking fluid, CT scans, even they had to check my heart, they had to check everything. I think maybe 7 tests I went through in that period of time, to see if this is cancerous, to see what my body's condition, to see is there any other symptoms. So yeah, it's been a lot there. So my husband at that point started to go with me to Tygerberg, and that was such a big blessing and such a big support for me. First of all, because I didn't get lost anymore. He would know where to park, how to go, he would know the direction, he would keep the north, east, west, south. And I would just follow him, because at this point it's a very emotional thing, because you don't know what will be the results and what will be the outcome of this. And then also going through an operation, it's not like going for a breakfast or a dinner or something. It is quite stressful, And so then they booked me immediately for October for an operation. They measured the thing, and it grew so much that it actually grew into my airflow of my throat. and the only way to get it out is to remove it through having a procedure. So then October, so first of all, now I knew it's not asthma, praise the Lord, and that it's the goiter that made this happen. So in 5 years, that's how big it grew. And then I went for the procedure at Tygerberg. It was nerve-wracking, but I've got to say that the doctors, the specialists, the theater, everything was stunning, was beautiful. I cannot complain. I had the best doctors, the best specialists. They were absolutely great. So in the procedure, they all knew I couldn't breathe. So before that, I had to sit up straight. So even before that time, I started sleeping at night upright. I couldn't sleep lying down anymore. I had to sleep with about 3 cushions behind me to keep me upwards because I was choking. So in the hospital as well, I always had to sit up straight. They knew about that. Okay, so before I got in, I explained to them about I can't breathe, I need to sit upright. So they said they're just going to put a mask on my nose, and I'm just going to breathe in, and then I'll be asleep for the procedure. So that was all fine and good and everything. And when I got there in front of the theater, I'm in the theater, and as I'm trying to go, as I'm in the theater, they put this mask on. Now in my mind, I had the mask of a nebulizer that you put it around your head and it's got the holes, but not there. That was a total solid closed mask. Oh my goodness. And then I started to panic, and it took 5 minutes before I would sleep, before I'm out. And that 5 minutes is very long if you can't breathe properly. So they put that on, and finally I was just like, I can't breathe. And at the point where I just wanted to, push them away, my eyes got dizzy, and there I went, and I'm out. When they wanted to put the oxygen pipe inside of my throat for oxygen or whatever, they couldn't even get past that goiter. That's how big that was. They struggled so much to get past the goiter, to get the pipe of oxygen in my airflow in my lungs, that the operation took a while, and that they eventually hurt me, and they gave me a punch in my top lip. So when I came out, my lip was all swollen, and I also had to get stitches because of the struggle getting the oxygen pipe into my throat, because of that thing that was so big, because it really grew inwardly. Eventually they took it out, and they said it was quite a big one. They tested it, and it was not cancerous. It was benign, like they say. So I was very happy about that. And then afterwards they still said, for my checkup, they said I must go for a blood test to see if my thyroid and calcium is all good, and that I did. Yesterday I went back to Tygerberg to get my results, and my thyroid and calcium, everything is 100. Nothing is wrong. I don't need any medication, which I'm so happy for, and everything is looking good. My cut is looking good, doctor's happy, and I don't have to go back after now 6 years. Now it's been 6 years. I don't have to go back. This journey has ended. So this was just a quick recap of what I went through. I could give more details, but first of all, I want to say thank you to the doctors, Dr. Koradi and her team, and the thyroid and the clinic, everything at Tygerberg. Well done. I can give you thumbs up there. Secondly, I want to say thank you to my Abba Father, because you know what? We prayed quite a long time for healing, but sometimes God has to use the doctors as well. God can do it supernaturally. There's absolutely nothing impossible for God. But sometimes God also uses the doctors, the medicine. So they also they're also there for a purpose. And I want to thank God at all times, because first of all, how He led me by doctors and friends to get to Tygerberg, how I got in there and were a patient for 5 years, and how I got the best specialist, Dr. Conradi, and on that day she was the one operating on me. So I'm so thankful, and that was one of my prayers, and God answered that. And that today I don't have any medicine. I don't need to go on any pills. I am completely healed. If you hear my voice, you can hear it's clear. I can breathe. I started to exercise again this week, 2 days ago. Not being out of breath, no need of anything. I just need to get fit, which is fine. So I'm like having my life back. For me, it's a miracle when I walk in the shopping mall and I can walk the whole mall without having to take a seat, to take a rest, to catch my breath. I can walk upstairs, up and down. Even in our house we're staying now, we have stairs. I couldn't even go up. If I go up, I must go sit down on the bed, wait for a while before I could come down. Now I could go up and down. I could even run it. Yes, I'm now very busy. I was taking it very slow, but what I realized is how much I took away from my life because I couldn't breathe. And now how much I can take it back from my life again because I have breath. So first of all, I want to say thank you to God for taking me through this procedure, for helping me, for opening doors, for sending the right people towards me, and that I'm at this point my old self again. And secondly, to have life again. You don't realize if you've lost it, what you have, So I know what's breath. I know how much important it is to breathe. And therefore I'm thankful and grateful to be able to breathe. So I just want to share this short testimony with you. First of all, it was a journey. And secondly, a testimony just to thank God and honor God that He was with me by my side every step of the way. He provided, He placed the people in my life. He gave me the best doctor. I'm out healthy with no problems. Everything healed, everything restored back to normal again. And I have my life back and I have breath back. And also, if you have maybe the same thing, a goiter or thyroid, don't be afraid. Go through the procedure. Go through it. It can change your life. And if it's cancerous, then I want to pray for you today that God will heal it, that God will turn it around. We bind the spirit of death. We bind the spirit of cancer upon your thyroid or goiter in the name of Jesus. And I speak life over you, that you will be able to breathe and be whole and live your life again. Because the word of God says that the plans that He has for us is not to harm us, but it is to prosper us. And I want to leave you with that today.